Though we have been warned and given plenty of explanations, reasons to do otherwise, we have persisted. You have persisted. You've persisted to claim a life of joy and justice, to carve out this time, this space for the renewal of your own heart. Despite all the reasons, the resistance, everything fighting for your attention, luring you towards fear, you persist. You persist to practice gratitude for this day, this life that has been given, this chance to begin again. And so let us gather. Let us gather that we might offer one another courage and strength, hope and healing. And this promise to persist in kindness, to persevere in compassion, and to prevail in a life that is far more than for ourselves. Come, let us worship together.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Berkeley. I'm Cynthia Asphrodites. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I'm today's worship associate. This is a welcoming congregation, and we're always working on how to better welcome and care for one another. Whoever you are, we welcome you in the fullness of who you are. Now, please take a moment to prepare yourself and your space for our time together this morning. Grab a candle and a way to light it so that you can join in the chalice lighting at home. Now, whether you are lighting a candle or the inner chalice in your heart, let us kindle our flames with the words of Scott Taylor. We light this flame in honor of all that leads us forward, all that leans down and helps us up after we fall, all that reminds us of why we started, all that tells us that there is still hope and seeds of surprise, even when no lights are in sight, even when warmth seems so far away. May this hour of tender and courageous connection help us fall in love again with this wild world. May it reignite our trust that the path ahead will be gentle. May it tempt us back to joy. May it leave us dancing to the lure of emerging light. I now invite you to share in the comments where you are by writing, "I carry the flame in," whatever town or city you are joining us from. Now, please join us in singing our opening song, "We Would Be One." The words will be on screen.
We would be one, as now we join in singing our hymn of love, to pledge ourselves anew to that high cause of greater understanding of who we are and what in us is true. We would be one in living for each other, to show to all a new community. We would be one in building for tomorrow, a nobler world than we have known today. We would be one in searching for that meaning which binds our hearts and points us on our way. As one we pledge ourselves to greater service, with love and justice strive to make us free.
Please join me in saying our covenant. Love guides this church. The quest for truth and justice is its common purpose. To give thanks, listen deeply, speak with care, honor our differences, and seek and grant forgiveness. These things we covenant with one another.
Check it. Check it. Check the expiration date. 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 Toothpaste and toilet paper. Toothpaste and toilet paper. Toothpaste and toilet paper. Toothpaste and toilet paper.
Nutella, Nutella. Nutella's when we're gonna get Nutella. Nutella, Nutella. Nutella's when we're gonna get Nutella.
Chocolate yum and
Candy yum, chocolate yum, candy yum, chocolate yum, candy yum, chocolate yum, and candy yum, cereal and applesauce, cereal and applesauce, cereal and applesauce, cereal and applesauce.
jelly jam, jelly jam.
Jelly, jelly jam, 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 jelly 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 jam, jelly jelly jam.
Good morning. My name is Catherine Boyle. I am the Director of Family Ministry. My pronouns are she, hers, hers. And this is the time for all ages. So if you are young or young at heart, Get cozy, get close. We're going to tell a story today that comes from our Jewish tradition, our Jewish mystical tradition. Now, the story is called The Shattering of Vessels. So, let us begin. At the beginning of time, before anything at all existed, love was all there was, and love filled up the whole universe. But love, being the only thing, got bored and lonely. There was no one to be in love with. So love decided to make a world. First, love took a deep breath. Take a deep breath with me. Let's breathe in as deep and deep and deep and deep. So love filled up all of itself with air, and as it was going deeper and deeper, it got all squished up, taking the deepest breath, and was so squished pop, that the darkness all around squeezed out from its body. The darkness was thick and black and shiny and beautiful, but in it, love couldn't see anything. It waved its arms and legs, but darkness was everywhere. "Oh, I have to do something about this," said love. It thought for a minute and then tried to think of the most beautiful, wonderful, warm thoughts. And love thought harder and harder and harder. And all of a sudden, love called out, "I want light." Pop! And it was. All of the wonderful and warm and beautiful thoughts exploded out into 10 different directions and shaped themselves into 10 big glowing glass balls. Now, each of these balls was filled with a spinning lump of pure light and warmth. Some of the spare good thoughts that couldn't quite fit inside these glass spheres became dust and water vapor and seeds and molecules that could form animals. Love looked upon this and said, "This is amazing. I better make something for all this beautiful light to shine on." And so it waved its arms, kicked its legs, and all of the dust and the water vapor and the molecules that had been scattered around when the glass balls formed began to form into another huge ball. This one of dirt and water and plants and animals. And do you know what love called this? Love called this Earth. Now, the 10 balls of light started towards Earth. And if they had made it here in one piece, then the entire planet would be exactly the way love wanted. But the glass balls were too fragile to contain such strong, such powerful, wonderful, good thoughts that they broke open and shattered. And all the good thoughts shattered and flew out like sparks and scattered like sand and seeds and stars. And those sparks fell everywhere on the earth in tiny bits instead of the big clumps like love intended. "Oh no," said love. "I'm too big. I'll never be able to find all these tiny sparks. I'll have to make one more thing." And so, love waved its arms and kicked its feet one last time, and pop! People appeared on Earth. They didn't know it, but they were created with one job: to find these sparks, these tiny pieces of wonderful goodness, and to bring them together in big clumps. When enough clumps are there, I will recreate the big glass containers to hold them. And this time I will set it down a little bit more carefully," love said. And so all of us from the time we are born, have one job. And that job is to help find love and more good and more warm and more wonderful things. If we do that, we are fixing the world. I hope I see some of my friends today in Celebration Chapel at 12:15. The link is in the Family Ministry newsletter. If you need it, shoot me an email. Thank you.
We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle around to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the world. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle around to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the world. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle around to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the world. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love.
This coming week holds Veterans Day, the U.S. holiday when we honor current and past veterans of our nation's uniformed services and their families for their service. We express our enduring gratitude both in words and actions to all who served, whatever their role, wherever their service took them. We say thank you to those whose service was brief and to those who made a career of their service. We say thank you to those who remember their service with fondness and to those whose time in the service may still haunt them. We say thank you to those who returned to us largely intact, who found jobs, started families, and who continue to find ways to serve in their communities. We say thank you to those who returned with brokenness so deep that they continue to struggle in many ways. Our roll call this morning in this service reminds us that these are not nameless people who serve. It is quite easy to say those who died in our wars gave their lives so the rest of us could enjoy our freedom. It is harder to honor those who died and those who served by resisting the erosion of freedom and working to prevent war. And yet we say thank you to all of these. As I name a form of national service with which you identify, I invite you, if you wish, to share your name, your finishing rank, and or the name of the branch in which you served in the comments section below. We honor those who served during World War II. We honor those who served in the Korean War. We honor those who served during the Vietnam War. We honor those who served during the First Gulf War. We honor those who served during the war in Afghanistan and Iraq. We honor those who served in the uniformed services during peacetime. We honor all those who currently serve in the uniformed military services, whether active duty or reserve duty. We honor family members of anyone currently serving in the uniformed military. We honor family members of anyone who has served in the uniformed military services, active duty or reserve duty during wartime or during peacetime. We also name and call out and honor those who have a friend or a neighbor who serves or has served in the military, which means at this point, I have called on pretty much every single one of us, whether we may realize it or not. We honor your service and that of your family member, your friend, or your neighbor, and the integrity and courage of your choices to serve. We honor the sacrifices you have made in service to our country. Thank you. I invite you to now join with me in the spirit of prayer. Spirit of life and love, Spirit who surrounds us and sustains us. Today we bow our heads in recognition of the great service and sacrifice that some have been asked to make. Living through the horror that is war, facing death or physical harm as a specter looming potentially around any corner, we say thank you and know that it will never be enough. Help us to embrace those we have sent forth in our names into danger. Give us the strength of will to serve them as they have served us. May they never hunger. May they never thirst. May there always be meaningful work for their hands. May they receive healing care in abundance, and may we, the grateful heirs of a nation built on the idea of liberty, may we be faithful in pursuing that dream in our own lives and actions. Help us to be vigilant and never complacent. Let each one of us take personally this charge. May it be so, and may it be so. Amen.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of gray, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shine.
Our reading this morning is titled Fault Line by Robert Walsh. Did you ever think there might be a fault line passing underneath your living room? A place in which your life is lived in meeting and in separating, wondering and telling, unaware that just beneath you is the unseen seam of great plates that strain through time, and that your life, already spilling over the brim, could be invaded, sent off in a new direction, turned aside by forces you were warned about, but not prepared for. Shelves could be spilled out, the level floor set at an angle in some seconds shaking. You would have to take your losses, do whatever must be done next. When the great plates slip and the earth shivers and the flaw is seen to lie in what you trusted most, look not to more solidity, to weighty slabs of concrete poured or strength of cantilevered beam to save the fractured order. Trust more the tensile strands of love that bend and stretch to hold you in the web of life that's often torn but always healing. There's your strength. The shifting plates, the restive earth, your room, your precious life, they all proceed from love, the ground on which we walk together.
First, a pre-qualification. At the moment, the worship services here at UUCB are pre-recorded. Each of the parts of the service is recorded by Friday morning and sent to our fabulous volunteer video production team, who then spend Friday and Saturday compiling the service and getting it uploaded. While I'm recording this reflection as late in the week as I can, it still has to go to the team with enough time for them to get the service together so it can be ready to stream on time for Sunday. I'm recording this on Saturday morning. However, the other elements of the service were mostly recorded by Thursday. So if there are any major events or decisions or happenings since this stuff was recorded, we will have to talk about them in some other ways. Okay, end of disclaimer. As election week draws to a close, half of our nation is elated and relieved, and the other half is disappointed and angry. 4 years ago, the case was nearly identical, although who was in each half was flip-flopped. Many things are different in each election cycle, yet many remains the same. We are a deeply divided people. Now, how did y'all spend your day this past Tuesday on Election Day? I hope that if you hadn't already, you made it to the polls. And also a tremendous, tremendous thanks to everyone who volunteered or helped out in any way for this year's elections, whether with the implementation of the election itself, or the get out the vote work, or with campaigns, or with running for something yourself. A huge shout out to our Larry Nagel, our very own UUCB member, Larry Nagel. First time he'd ever run for something, and he was elected. Congratulations, Larry, as one of the directors of the Kensington Fire District. Elections are truly the work of many, many hands. I'm guessing that Tuesday was rather nerve-wracking for many folks. It certainly was for me. Someone sent around a fabulous compilation that the New York Times had put together of weird news stories and calming and/or adorable videos. Some of them were humorous, but a bit too on the nose with irony, like one that was a video of a sand timer that literally said, "Watch 30 seconds of your life disappear right in front of you." The one I settled on for a while was one of the cute videos of two fluffy rabbits eating a carrot. It was maybe a 15 or 20 second video loop, so it kept looping back to the beginning so you could watch them in all of their fluffy cuteness, eating that carrot for as long as you wanted, which I did. At least I did until I saw what was really happening in the video. You see, it wasn't actually 2 rabbits eating a carrot. It was 1 rabbit eating a carrot that was stuffed through the side of the cage so it could reach it, and the other rabbit desperately trying to get to the carrot. It tried many different directions and pushes until it finally connected with the carrot and started to take a nibble. But if you were watching, that is exactly the moment when the video looped back to the start. So what you were really watching is 1 rabbit eating a carrot while the other one is permanently separated and permanently deprived, despite the fact it keeps trying. That seems like a pretty good metaphor for our country right now. We are deeply polarized, not only ideologically, but with various versions of haves and have-nots. The haves that get to continue nibbling at the carrot that is conveniently stuffed right in their face so they can reach it, and the have-nots who, despite their trying, never manage to get the carrot. And the divisions have been just getting deeper and deeper. My friends, we have a lot of work yet to do. No matter who won this election, we still have a lot of work to do. I'd like for us to first talk about a misleading and rather distracting word that gets a lot of use, both in general and quite a bit in recent times. The word normal. When things get back to normal after, fill in the blank. When we're back to normal. I'm sure you've heard it. You've probably said it a good bit too. When will things be back to normal after the pandemic? When will we find some normalcy? Or those looking for a version of normalcy after this fire season? Or after the conclusion of a leadership term or administration? I'm seeing it pop back up in the news and in messages our folks are sending to one another. Now we can get back to normal. Now, this is problematic for a variety of reasons, and we could go on about this related to the pandemic for a while, how getting back to normal has a variety of definitions for everyone, or that many health safety practices may be around for a good while, or how large-scale gatherings come together may have in fact changed permanently, or the reality of how disease moves around a highly connected and mobile global community. There is all of that. But I want to look at a different version of so-called normal today. And that's the normal that a lot of folks on the liberal political side of the spectrum have been talking about for 4 years now, the change that they're hoping for. But that's a litany that's been said before. During Obama's first campaign, for instance, he campaigned on being change. That was definitely an element of Biden's campaign too, and if you remember, that was part of Trump's campaign 4 years ago. When there's so much going on that's out of sync with one's values, it's easy to look at potential change as something that will hopefully bring things back into sync with one's own standpoint. But I want to stop us. I want to stop us before we go down that path, because it is a seductive one, like dark side levels of seduction, folks. For many that share values of seeking justice and peace and compassion, combating oppressions woven throughout our society, the past 4 years have been a wake-up call. There have been wake-up calls in the past too, and with each wake-up call, there is often some change, but then normal slips back in and we get complacent again. Did you know that during Obama's administration, hundreds of thousands of people were deported from the United States? Income inequality reached its highest point since 1928. An ever-increasing number of African Americans were killed by police officers, and while that has continued to grow since, it was not absent before. People of color trail in virtually every favorable statistic we might imagine. Yes, many things have gotten worse in many ways in the years since 2016. And because they were dramatically highlighted in so many ways, much work has been focused on them. And then there is our rapidly changing environmental situation, as well as the aging and crumbling infrastructure of our country, and the solidified nuclear arsenal here as well as in many other places. We have just seen record-breaking climate conditions this year, a record-breaking hurricane season, record-breaking wildfire season, an inland hurricane, dramatic flooding in many areas, record-breaking temperatures, including right here in California, and the continuing retreat of ice sheets and so many other climate change indicators. Let us not forget a rather important piece of news from this past week that got entirely subsumed by the election news. This past week, the United States pulled out of the Paris Climate Agreement. Now, that will probably change under the new administration, but it doesn't change the fact that the United States has the highest percentage of climate change deniers compared to other countries, according to a recent survey. And proportionately, the United States has a much, much higher burden of emissions and factors that we are putting into the environment that continue to accelerate its change. These things were all true under the normal that we are wistfully hoping to return to. Let me say that again. These things, every single thing I've said, was all true under the normal that we hope to return to. It is true that when Obama was elected president, the focus and attention to racial justice work slowed down and evaporated in so many ways. Look at where the work has done. We can breathe a sigh of relief. But let us remember, my friends, that we still have a tremendous amount of work to do. The Southern Baptist preachers that I experienced as a youth usually had 3 points they made in their sermons. And today, I want to go to that tradition and lift up 3 things too. 3 things that I am calling on us to do as people of faith, as people of our beloved UU faith. First, bridge differences. Let us seek out and make use of every opportunity we can to bridge differences. This means reaching out, listening, finding common ground, respecting one another. It means refraining from vilifying those who think or feel differently, those who have different opinions and ideals. It means not thinking less of their intelligence or integrity. It also means listening for our different vocabulary. Folks who are political conservatives and folks who are political liberals have different words they use, different values they highlight. That doesn't mean one is better than the other or righter than the other, but it sure does mean we have trouble hearing one another. Finding opportunities to connect with folks of different opinions doesn't take going very far either. There are often great gulfs of differences amongst family members, amongst friends, definitely amongst neighbors. Even right here in Contra Costa County, about 1/4 of the population voted for Trump, while 3/4 voted for Biden. Even right here in our own county, we are deeply divided. Bridging differences. Next, I call on us to lean into practicing citizenship and practicing our democracy. Not only is this a central part of our country, but it is also in our congregations and our UU faith as well. Our 5th principle that we as congregations commit to is, quote, the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process within our congregations and in society at large. Protecting the integrity of the vote and the democratic process is a foundation of our society, and a foundation all the time, not just when it is convenient for our opinions. I'm guessing that numerically, this national election had the highest quantity of votes cast in our entire history. Percentage-wise, what is projected is that we may have hit 66% of eligible voters which is higher than it's been in years. However, little factoid, if you like factoids, and many of us do, the highest percentage ever that we had was in 1876, when 86% of eligible men, both white and black, voted in the presidential election. Now, it might have been able to be higher, but there were efforts throughout the South to suppress the black vote. Add that to the list of things that hasn't changed. I call on us to practice our democracy, to protect our democracy, and to practice our citizenship. Now, that could be topic matter for a whole pack of sermons, but let me simply say for now that I hope for all of us to find ways to participate in our communities and their governance, strengthen our neighborhoods, our organizations, our communities, to keep our voices heard, and even more importantly, to make sure that all voices can be heard and valued, especially those who are often marginalized. Okay, and one more thing too. When the time comes for the Electoral College to vote on the president, could the political liberals please refrain from condemning the political conservatives who protest and call for the Electoral College to make a different vote? If you remember, the political liberals set that precedent in 2016, so let's have a little integrity and try not to vilify the other folks. All right, my third point, perhaps the most important of my points. I call on us to keep up the work. Let us not be satisfied with simply going back to normal. Normal isn't acceptable. Under what we called normal, people of color face discrimination in so many ways. Americans, both adults and children, went hungry every day. Black men were terrorized and murdered by law enforcement. Immigrants continued to be deported. Domestic violence and other abuses in the home continued at epidemic levels. LGBT folks faced discrimination in nearly every sector. Shall I go on? Normal isn't good enough. Normal dehumanizes folks every day. And if we go back to sleep because normal is back, that dehumanization continues. The delicate balance of our climate continues to be eroded and tilted even further in nearly every version of normal that's out there, moving us ever closer towards unimaginable precipices. Normal isn't good enough. Rather than taking a sigh of relief at changes in power and thinking that means all the change that is needed will occur, let us instead redouble our efforts on everything that we believe in. Let's keep the fires lit underneath us and keep the pressure on. Look at what our precious planet is telling us. She's telling us we don't have a choice. Find ways to bridge differences. Practice our citizenship and keep up the work. Let us keep the fires of commitment burning and forge ahead into whatever may meet us there. May it be so.
As always, UUCB needs your gifts and support as we continue to make ours a vibrant and loving community, inspiring spiritual growth, justice-making, and lives of integrity and service. We hope that you will also practice generosity with our Good Neighbors organizations. This month, we're sharing half of our offerings with Operation Dignity to support the good work they do in our community. Operation Dignity serves homeless and at-risk veterans, their families, and the communities in which they live. Operation Dignity meets immediate and long-term needs by providing emergency, transitional, and permanent housing, comprehensive outreach and support services, and a strong peer community inclusive of race, religion, gender, sexual orientation, and disability. Offerings of any value are received with gratitude. More details on how to give electronically will appear on your screen as our offertory begins. Thank you. Please join me in dedicating our offering. We dedicate our offering and ourselves to the mission of this congregation, to create loving community, inspire spiritual growth, and encourage lives of integrity, joy, and service. It has been so good to be together in worship this morning. Before we shift to our virtual coffee hour on Zoom, I'd like to encourage you to stay informed about all that's going on in our congregation. You can explore our website, uucb.org. Among other things, you can find a link under News to the week ahead, our weekly email newsletter, which contains a list of upcoming activities. As we prepare to leave our worship service, here are a couple of important announcements. First, our annual food drive for the Richmond Emergency Food Pantry runs through Sunday, November 22nd. You can donate food in person by dropping it off at church during the week between 10 and 4, Monday through Friday, or at church between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. on the 22nd. Cash and checks are also welcome. Second, despite this pandemic, we can still celebrate parts of the holidays that we enjoy. Let's bring UUCB's cornbread celebration into our homes. Please send in your favorite cornbread recipe by November 16th, and we'll share all of them in late November so that we can all enjoy cornbread, a different version of being together. Send your recipes to uucbrecipes@gmail.com. At Personal Theology next Sunday morning, Jacob King will present The 7 Principles, A Soldier's Perspective. Jacob is currently a seminary student at Star King School for the Ministry. He is a veteran, currently pursuing military chaplaincy. See the week ahead for the Zoom link. Finally, and very importantly, we invite you to share your concerns, wants, and preferences for a phased reopening of UUCB. This congregational poll is your opportunity to inform church leadership and staff on how best and in what phases we should reopen. If you prefer to respond on a printed copy of the poll, please call our church office. Deadline November 16th. Now, please join in singing our closing song, Fire of Commitment. The words will be on screen.
beacon bright and clear, guiding hands and hearts and spirits into faith and freedom fear. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the stories of our living brings a song both brave and free, calling pilgrims still to witness to the life of liberty. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the dreams of youthful vision comes a new prophetic voice, reaching hands of deeper justice, by our courageous choice. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance by the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin.
We are the ones we have been waiting for. We're not perfect, but we are perfectly fitted for this day. We are not without fault, but we can be honest to face our pasts as we chart a new future. We are the ones we have been waiting for. May we be bold and courageous to chart that new future. May we have faith in a future that is not known and filled, completely filled to the brim with unknowns. It is there. We are moving there, and we are the ones we have been waiting for. As we go from this place with that boldness, with that courage, with our passion, with our comfort, moving forward together, remember, you are never all alone. Blessed be.